Goldman Sachs is under fire, the bank accused of gender discrimination over credit limits for the Apple Card. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak is among those criticizing the policy. He says he was allowed a credit limit much larger than the one given to his wife. Goldman Sachs is responding to the accusation, saying this: as with any other individual credit card, your application is evaluated independently. We look at an individual's income and an individual's creditworthiness, which includes factors such as personal credit scores, how much debt you have, and how that debt has been managed. Based on those factors, it is possible for two family members to receive significantly different credit decisions. In all cases, we have not and will not make decisions based on factors like gender. Joining us right now is Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, good to see you.
Good morning. So this is the Apple Card, which is administered for Apple by Goldman Sachs. And so far, I mean, we all know who Steve Wozniak is. It's almost inconceivable because their assets are that he would have 10 times the credit as she. Their assets are held jointly. But this is anecdotal information. This is not yet an allegation by the government. It isn't even yet a lawsuit. In my opinion, this will probably mature into some kind of an investigation by regulators. And it goes without saying that creditworthiness cannot be based on gender. It's not even a check mark. It's just not there. It's not anything that can be considered. But we do have some extreme examples of people whose wealth we know getting superlative ratings, and their spouses who have access to the same wealth getting ratings not nearly as close. It depends on how thorough they were. Knowing Goldman Sachs, I would imagine they were thorough. I don't know how this happened. But they may have to explain how this happened under oath and before some inquiring body. I don't know if it's going to be a judge and a jury or just regulators looking to see what happened.
I mean, they're blaming algorithms. It's always the algorithms.
Right, it's always the algorithms.
There are people who write these algorithms. One question would be, is there a different credit experience, men versus women, I wonder?
Historically, there's a different credit experience, but in terms of whether or not gender can be taken into account,
good question.
It absolutely cannot be taken into account. And I'm sure the Goldman Sachs people and whoever write the algorithms know that. They have legal departments that can tell them. This is discrimination 101, that gender is in there, that you can't discriminate on the basis of gender no matter what the history had been.
Maybe the wives were more conservative politically.
You never know.
But, and as you said, this is early days looking at this. You're talking about a few people, and we don't know exactly what was entered in. Correct. And so forth. So
correct. That's why I said this is anecdotal. Yeah. This is not an inquiry by a jury. This is wildly insufficient evidentiary basis for any regulation or punitive action to come about.
You know,
But it is the beginning of something.
And do the Wozniaks want to put all of that out there? What she's done in terms of debt versus how much debt he's taken on.
That's a very good question.
Versus what he's spent.
What do they need
because this inquiry,
yeah, exactly.
Let's say the Department of Consumer Affairs of the city of New York or the state of New York makes an inquiry. It's going to be public. So if the Wozniaks choose to use themselves as the beast in the night to Goldman Sachs, everybody in the world is going to know their assets and their debts.
Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you
Maybe they don't care.
There is a monumental case coming before the Supreme Court tomorrow, and that is, of course, the fate of more than 600,000 young immigrants called the Dreamers. That's hanging in the balance, the DACA situation. The court is looking at the Trump administration's proposal to throw out Obama-era policy that says immigrants born on U.S. soil are exempt from deportation. Judge, what do you think the Supreme Court does on this?
Let me give you both sides of this argument. The DACA side of the argument is these people are young adults. They came here as babies. They are fully Americanized.
Probably the only country they really know.
Correct. It is the only country they really know. Yeah. If you were to deport them, you would deport them to a place that's totally alien to them. These are not the criminals and the thugs and the gangs that the president's been railing about. These are, for the most part, productive people. They have Social Security accounts. They pay taxes. They live and they work productively, and they're a core part of the economy.
It's not their fault that they came here illegally.
Correct. And there is a provision of law that if a statute has not been enforced for a generation, you can rely on its non-enforcement. If they have not been deported for their whole lives, they can rely on and plan on staying here. That's their side. Here's the other side. President Obama asked the Congress in the last 3 years of his presidency, it was controlled by the Republicans, to enact legislation to keep the DACA people here. Congress said no. Now, Congress writes the laws, not the president. The president then wrote his own executive order saying you can stay here as long as you get a high school education and pay taxes and don't get in trouble. The Trump administration says, wait a minute, the Congress writes the law, and they said no. The president can't write the law. This president, if he could write the law, would write a different law. So that's what's at stake here.
Why was President Obama able to do that?
He lost in the courts, and this is the final appeal. Even though he lost in the courts did not order deportation. So he lost in the trial court. He lost in the appellate court. This is an appeal of that. The Supreme Court will have the final say. Now, if the administration wins, does that mean that Donald Trump is going to deport 700,000 people? I don't think so. Knowing the president as I do, I think he's going to use this as a negotiating mechanism with the Democrats in the House to try and finally rewrite the immigration laws in the United States. But it will put those 700,000 people at jeopardy if he does prevail.
Unfortunately, it feels like that's the only way to operate with these two sides who hate each other. You need leverage, and I mean, it's just impossible, the state of affairs.
You need as much of a stick as you do a carrot.
Exactly.
The president knows that.
Good way to put it. Judge, good to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Judge Andrew Napolitano.